Get tips to accelerate your career with top companies and meet leading business disruptors who will share pivotal moments in being a successful leader. This is the Forward Motion Business Show with Professor Ken and Professor Paul A. Marino. Hit new heights. Start with Forward Motion.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Forward Motion Business Show. I'm Professor Ken.
And I'm Professor Paul Marino.
And today we have a great show planned for you. We're actually going to dive into what it takes to be part of that career when you're getting started. And not only getting started, but we'll cover that. So coming out of school, what do you need to do to set yourself up right for your best career journey? And then even when you get through school, we'll talk a little bit about as you get a little older in your career, advanced in your career, let's say, not older, but advanced, what do you need to do? Because there are key things that you can still do when you get in your 30s, in your 40s, and you're looking for a more senior level position. So, Paul, why don't you introduce our guest, John?
Well, I'm very happy to have John Nykolaiszyn here with us. He is the director of the Office of Business Career Management. And I spoke to John briefly on the phone this week, and I wanted to kind of feed off our first show that talked a little bit about internships. But in speaking to him on the phone, he went so much deeper into the subject of not only of internships, but the actual career management part. So, John, why don't you tell us a little bit? So let's start with either an undergrad or a grad student who's still pursuing their education and is looking for an internship to see, one, if the chemistry is right with that particular client, or if that's really the career they want to continue to pursue. So why don't you give us your thoughts on the matter?
Sure. So thank you for allowing me to be here. It's a pleasure to be here. Internships are great when you're starting out, to find out what you want to be when you grow up. So a lot of times, well, I don't want to say a lot of times, but students will have a preconceived notion that this is what they have to do for whatever reason.
Yeah.
My dad's an accountant, my mom's an accountant. I need to be an accountant, but I'm bad at math. So,
Right.
what does someone do? So if you have the opportunity to, in essence, try out different things while you're doing it at the intern level, you're not causing career damage. You're learning and growing and doing.
You're searching,
and that's what we want. That's what we want students to do. And doing it at the intern level allows you to explore different areas of interest and different opportunities, and you're learning career skills along the way. So I agree with your statement that, an internship is incredibly important, because it is. But I also think that you need to be open to experience. And it's easier to be open to experiences if you're doing multiple internships or having an opportunity to do different internships in different areas, as opposed to, I've got to find a job, I've got to work, and you get your field of vision gets narrower and narrower.
Yeah, and I think it helps too, internships, because you are, evolving personally and professionally, right? And you are, let's say, experimenting with what you likes and don't likes. Oftentimes, I know myself included, you may end up starting on a path here, but your journey takes you to a different part. So that's sort of that exploring and understanding it and evolving as an individual. I mean, my 20-something Ken is a lot different than my 50-something Ken, and I evolved over the years, and that internship's important. John, one of the things that we always talk about is the internship not only brings you experience, but also evolves you as an individual, because now you're sharpening your skills, your social skills, your professional skills. You know, if you like driving into Miami, 45 minutes or not.
Oh, yeah.
And it starts developing you. So tell us the importance of that. How is an internship not only good for your professional person, your professional you, but also your personal you as well?
Well, I think that it's, in some cases, it's an individual's first taste at a corporate job.
Right.
You know, our students at FIU are unique. Most of them are working full time and going to school full time, and they may not be working in their career field or their chosen career field. They might be working retail. They might be working at front desk at a doctor's office. So it's, in some cases, the student's first taste of corporate America.
Yes.
And because of that, there are rules and rituals and traditions and customs that you can only learn when you're in that situation. I remember when I was an undergrad and I was working full time and going to school full time, and the one lesson that my boss taught me that stays with me to this day, and in fact, you saw it when I came into the room. My boss told me never to walk into a room, especially with him, if I didn't have something to write something down with, a pen and a paper.
A pen and paper.
Pen and a paper.
Right.
You know,
So
so
a pen too, right?
I have my
old school thing.
It is, and I mean, we're talking. This is 35 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's a habit that I still have. And when I have student assistants in the office, and I'm very gracious and happy to have them, and I give them a lot of privileges, and I say, look, you can come into my office at any time. You can ask a question. You don't have to knock. Just hover, but I'll wave you in. But be prepared to write something down.
That's right.
And so that's just one of those unwritten rules or traditions or customs that you learn. How to greet people in the morning. You know, you can't just, you walk in and you have to say good morning. These are things that if you didn't learn them in your retail job, or if you didn't learn them in where you are, you're going to learn them there. So I think that's important, and that helps the socialization side of students.
John, is there a sweet spot? You know, when should a student start thinking of an internship? Their freshman year, their sophomore year? Should they develop some skills first, and then what advice would you give a student?
That's a great question. I think, well, I'm seeing more and more firms in the financial services sector reaching earlier and earlier into the pool. I have some opinions on them. I don't know if that is the right strategy, but that is the strategy they're choosing. So if you're a sophomore, the rule of thumb would be this. If you're a sophomore, I would want you to start thinking about, how do I do this? How do I get an internship? And a sophomore is classified between 30 and 60 credits. So if you're in that 30 to 60 credit range, you need to start thinking about, how am I going to find an internship? What am I going to do? You want to do an internship your junior year. So in that 60 to 90 credit range. And then possibly have another one your senior year, because between junior and senior year, you'll have an opportunity to learn and grow and change. And then when you get ready to graduate, you have the opportunity, if you've done a good job, the firm will extend it on.
Right.
Now that's the traditional approach that we see with accounting and finance and financial services. But they're reaching earlier and earlier into the pool, and they're saying, okay, well, we want to have sophomores that are in these leadership programs, or they're engaging at this level. So the advice is, pay attention as a freshman, know that this is coming, but there's going to need to be some actions within this sophomore year, and having a higher aptitude and a higher awareness of what's happening starts then and there, and then it transfers, it moves on to your junior and senior year.
Well, let's talk a moment about that process.
Sure.
A student is coming into their sophomore year. They have decided that they would like to pursue an internship. We live in a digital world. We live in a social media world. Your office probably has certain protocols. What do they have to do? Are there certain software? What's their steps?
So I'm really proud of the work we've done here at the College of Business, and we're unique in the fact that we have a dedicated career class for all juniors and transfers into the college. So they are taught the career development life cycle. No matter what, they're taught this. There is a process. There are softwares. The first thing that I would say is, engage with with the business career office, engage with the Office of Business Career Management, show up, ask who your career counselor is, look us up online. There has to be an awareness. And so my team, we're dedicated to understanding and guiding and helping first timers get through this. There are resources and tools that we have. We are blessed to have very, very powerful resources and tools for our students here at FIU and at FIU Business. The ubiquitous one is Handshake. It is the world's largest career resource tool for what they call early careers. So students that are in undergrad students and as well as graduate students. There's a graduate student component. But Handshake is, as I'd mentioned to you in our earlier conversations, Handshake's like the Indeed.com for students. And so if I could wave a wand and change this, I would be like, don't start on LinkedIn applying to jobs. Don't start on Indeed applying to jobs. Start on Handshake. Start with that tool there, because that's where the companies are looking for you.
And that's a closed network. So you have a higher, I guess, I'm not going to say higher chance, but there's better odds of you landing something or having a conversation because it's a closed network. It's not the whole universe, isn't it?
Well, but it's a closed network, but it's a great network. Every single Fortune 500's in there.
Yeah.
All the big firms are in there. Right. The activity is there, but it's specific activity for the student. They want to hire you. They're looking for you in this pond.
So they know exactly what they're looking for, and they're going to immediately match that qualification.
Yes. So you're competing amongst your peers at that level, as opposed to going to LinkedIn, which is a great tool and platform. And I agree that at some point, yes, you're going to do that. Right. But as a student, it's not the right time. Right. So you're competing amongst your peers, as opposed to now you're competing with me, you're competing with you. Everybody can apply to this job. Indeed.com is the same. It's an open website.
Yeah, we always share, and even in my personal journey, I always look at, I love to compete, but you have to compete on a level field. If you're trying to compete and that individual is higher qualified than you and you're not at the same field, then you don't have a chance. You could be in the game, you might get lucky, right? Hit a lucky goal here or there, but you have to be able to compete. The LinkedIn part is interesting too, because I do feel that everybody now should be on LinkedIn. So you definitely need to have that LinkedIn profile set up properly.
Yes.
That's really important.
Yes.
But if I had a choice, if I was starting from scratch and I had a closed network, I would probably search on Handshake than anywhere else, because I know it's gone from 100,000 people to maybe 10,000 people, which is immediately improving your odds. Let's also talk about with the Handshake piece. I would imagine you have to build a profile. You have to have your proper resume and all that stuff. How does a student go about that? And what's the coaching that FIU provides to help you get all that done?
So FIU students, right when they enter the university, they're required by the state of Florida to complete a course. The government passed a bill, HB 1261, which requires students to acknowledge and have an awareness of their career and the tools and the resources. So immediately when they come in, they have a very rudimentary understanding of, this is the tool, this is what I need to use. As they progress along their journey here at FIU, they're taking classes like SLS, which is the first year experience. And then they, in the College of Business, they will take classes and they'll take GEB 3003, the career management class. And in that class, during that journey, we take students through career development and discovery. What do I want to be when I grow up? Do I want to do a job? Do I want to find an internship? How do I do that? How do I build a network? All of the questions that students are afraid to ask, but we answer that for them. And we have what's nice about it is it's taught by my full-time staff in the office, and it's also taught by our academic advisors in the College of Business. So everybody who's touching that class is part of our community. They're part of our college, so they understand. And in that process, students are being exposed and learning how to use Handshake effectively. They're learning how to use some of the career discovery tools that we have. For example, we have a tool called Pathway U, which takes students through the discovery process. And multiple tests like personality and type of working environment, and it's got a couple other things built in there. There's also, this is also a really fun statistic that I'm proud of. We've been using some form of artificial intelligence in career services since 2017. We have a fully online and automated resume critiquing process called VMOC, which we've been working with since 2017, and it has evolved and grown and morphed, and it is world class.
Yeah.
We're one of the, it's phenomenal. And so when you come into the office, when you take the class, you will learn these techniques. So to answer your question in a long-winded way, you have that initial touch right when you enter FIU because of the career readiness piece. Then you have some touch points in various areas, first year experience, SLS, and then you get to the GEB, and then you have a more formal piece. But at any point in time, you could walk into the office, you can have the conversation.
And do your own, bring yourself up to speed.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes.
The lingering question I have when you talk about resumes is, do you put a picture of yourself on it?
Absolutely not. Absolutely
so
not.
it's changed so much. It's like, when I get a resume, because every once in a while I see a photo, I'm nice looking individual, but no, right?
No,
so
absolutely
no
not.
photos
Please.
on your resume.
Please, no photos, no colors.
No
it's just
colors.
black and white, just text.
Typical traditional font.
Yeah, you could have Aptos or
Arial, maybe.
Calibri or Arial. If you're going to use Times New Roman, I'm be like,
a little dated.
You're a millennial.
A little dated. Speaking of that though, let's talk about that a little bit. So we have, and FIU has this incredible support for those of us that are young and starting out. And you said, what do I want to be when I grow up? I still don't know the answer to that question.
I struggle with it sometimes.
So here I am now, a little more advanced. So let's talk about what do you think someone upper level manager, mid to upper level management needs to do? Do the same rules apply to them, or does it change as you mature, not only in your career but in age? And maybe you're coming out of the Chapman graduate school of business, and you got your freshly minted MBA. Mm-hmm. What would you do for someone like myself, or in that age?
I still think that the best starting question, if we were to sit and have a counseling session, the first question I would ask you is, what do you truly, truly want to do? I think we need to ask ourselves that question and to be honest with ourselves, because with experience, we know what we like, we know what we don't like, we know what type of boss we work well with, what we don't work well with, but we tend to put restrictions and barriers up that color our decision.
Yeah, box us in.
We box us in, and we do that as humans.
Yes. Comfort zones. Right?
We are in, and there are several great academic papers and books written on comfort zones. In fact, the first one I remember reading was in 1997 when I started my career as a recruiter. Danger in the comfort zone. Mm-hmm. And that stuck with me too. So the pen stuck with me.
Right.
And then I have this danger, and then danger in the comfort zone, which is if you learn and grow when you're outside of your comfort zone.
That's right.
And so I learned that lesson in the late 90s, and then the internet thing took off. But that's the first question. What do I truly, truly want to do?
Right.
And then it boils down to who do I want to do it for and where do I want to do it? Mm-hmm. And you can ask that question at any stage of your career.
Right.
Your answers are going to be different as you're moving along that scale. Some people are motivated by money. Some people are motivated by geography. Others are motivated by title, recognition. It really depends on these motivators. And so asking yourself, what do I truly want to do? Yeah. That's kind of the starting point. And then I like to point out to the students or to the graduates that any answer you give me, if you say, for example, well, I have to be here, here, and here, I'm going to say, okay, you put those restrictions on yourself. I did not put those on. And so I have to point out that you've put those barriers up. And why? And then kind of poke and prod and blow that up so that they can see it and understand it. Because, I may want to stay in South Florida. Okay, well, now my research is to be like, all right,
more focused.
So let's focus on the geographic region. Who do you want to work for?
Right, where do you want to go?
What do you want to do? So if that's the case, then that kind of helps that parameter building and that goes across all.
To answer that question, what do I want to do? Can scrolling on TikTok for 30 Can that be my answer?
I don't know. Doom scrolling. Doom scrolling's a bad habit.
I know it's a bad habit.
It seems to me, John, based upon what you've just shared with us, it behooves a student to get with your team, with you or your team, as early as possible.
Yes.
Because it's not a one-way communication.
It never is, and it's not just one visit. It's early and often, and that's
you're testing.
Yeah.
You're testing.
Yeah, we want the students to. We are a resource, and my counselors are the best in the business.
Mm-hmm.
They come from the industry, and I absolutely love that. And you have an opportunity to schedule the time to talk to someone about a subject that is fairly intimate. I mean, we're talking about careers, we're talking about money,
likes,
we're talking about
dislikes.
livelihood, dislikes. These are things that you're not going to share with your boss because you don't want to get fired.
Right.
And if you say the wrong thing, I mean, you're not going to get fired, but you might not get promoted.
Right. Your stock will go down in their eyes.
Yeah, you can't be that. I know we talk about our authentic and our true selves, but I still have there's still a boss and an employee relationship here.
Right.
So I can't, but talking to a counselor, and, obviously we have, talking to a counselor gives you the opportunity to ask the questions in a safe place, in a safe environment, and to get questioned back.
Right.
But the expression and the when I tell people you've put that parameter on yourself, why did you do that?
Right.
And then ask, and then to see the mechanism, to see their brain go, no one's ever given me that.
Right. I didn't think about it that way.
I didn't think about it that way.
Right.
Because
I'm limiting myself.
You are limiting yourself, and so it's that listen, you have the power to do it, and you just have to. You have to answer the question.
You have to learn the process.
You have to learn the process and answer the question. And truthfully, you have to answer it truthfully for yourself.
Now let's flip the script, if I may. You have this tremendous structure for students to identify their wants and needs, to grow, to position themselves, to choose areas that they want to go, even with the internship component included. But how about the employer? How does the employer tap into your department and benefit from all the resources that you gave your student population?
Another great question. The simple answer is give us a call. It's the commercial. Give us a call and we'll talk to you. We'll take care of you right away. What do you need?
No, let's expand on that.
But no, the cheeky answer that I want to give you right away is show up. But I'm going to come back to that. Let me circle back to that because that's really going to be the messaging. It's just I want the employers to show up because if you show up, you win.
Define that for me. We had this conversation on the phone, you and I.
Yes. In the middle of right before career fair. Right before career fair.
Thank you for taking the time to talk to me. How does the we talk about the big corporations of the world and they have their certain protocols. Okay. But in South Florida, we're more an entrepreneurial base. How does that differ?
So it's really about reaching out to the team, reaching out to our office, and having a conversation with our employer development side, the employer development side of the office. So we have, that's where how I started my career here at FIU as the employer developer, and then having a conversation with the employer, understanding what they're trying to accomplish, what they need to do, and then talking them through what that recruitment process looks like. Because collegiate recruiting and early talent recruiting is very different than experienced hires or experienced recruiting. There are some similarities. You know, posting a job, we post a job in Handshake. Okay, the resumes flow in, you can scan and call. That process is rote and will be the same. It is, how do I appeal to this generation? What is important for these students now? What can I offer that's going to make me make me become an employer of choice? And it's asking those questions that allows us to have that conversation and to help them differentiate themselves from a firm who walks in and just trades on their name. Because that also happens. People are like, oh, I want to come. I'll use IBM as an example. We know who IBM is, and we know the adage. No one ever got fired for buying IBM. Right? We've heard that in our careers. Students today don't know that. Students today haven't heard that. The TikTok generation, as you mentioned earlier, I don't believe that they've heard who or what IBM is.
All right.
So if IBM were to come, and I'm not picking on them, but the size of that organization, if an organization with that size and that storied history were to just show up and be like, hey guys, who wants a job? Students would be like, who are you?
Right.
What are you offering me?
Yeah. What do you do?
What do you do? Pick any letter of the alphabet of an accounting firm, and they might ask, "Are you a radio station?"
Well, I own 3 blue suits because of IBM. Suits.
Yeah,
that was part of IBM too. You had to have suits.
and white shirts and a particular time. Yeah, it was a very distinct corporate culture. So that. It cuts both ways. Students have to research and understand how companies work. Companies have to come and understand how to recruit students, because they're getting older and students are staying the same age. They're recruiting this 25.
They're becoming irrelevant.
Yeah.
They're becoming...
Yeah.
That's interesting. So, yeah, and that is true, because that corporate culture sticks around, right, for decades, and these new generations come in. So in my household, I have a millennial and I have a Gen Z, right, and my son's just getting out there too, the youngest. What would you say the difference is? What are the, I'm going to say opportunities, some people might call them mistakes, that you would make there? So if you're a Gen Z now, what's the one thing that you see time and time again that they're making, a mistake they're making, or an opportunity for them to improve that they shouldn't be doing?
This is a loaded question.
Pick one thing that they're doing that is just that kills any shot they have.
I really think that if I could wave this magic wand, it would be to just read and research more. This goes back to my days in the recruiting chair, but I would always like to ask individuals, what do you know about my company?
Are you interested?
And that answer would tell me a lot about their ability to research, their desire. I worked for a large global brand, and I would ask, when I would recruit marketing folk, and I would ask them specifically, what do you know about my firm? And if they didn't say that we were a global brand within the first 35 to 40 seconds, I was like, do they not? I mean, we're an iconic Miami brand with a logo that's like noticeable.
Right.
Like, come on.
Right.
So it would be to research more. This actually goes both ways. This answers your question and it answers yours at the same time. There's a lack of the research piece. So I would want my students to research more. I mean, we're a business school. You learn how to read a 10K. You learn how to read a 10Q. You're learning, we've all had to suffer and read through company annual statements. That's a rite of passage. But the information that you find in there is gold. Right. It's so it doesn't take that long to do that research. And we have the tools and we have access to it here at FIU and FIU Business. Companies also need to research the types of students and the demographics. Whew, I stumbled on that one. The demographics of the students and who are these students and what are they, this is not your typical 18 to 24 university. So, and we're proud of that here.
Right.
So if you know the audience, then it makes you a better company to come and recruit. To go back to my earlier statement of just show up, it's also showing an interest. It's showing that you want to hire that individual, that you're taking the time to learn about them and you're here. And companies that do that have a higher rate of engagement initially, and then if they keep coming back, now they're building goodwill. Now they're building a relationship, and they have a customer base. They know, I have a client at the career fair, and I was very strategic on where I placed them, and they've come back now to the career fair for the last 3 semesters, and that is their recruiting strategy. And I can't change that, and that's how they want to do it, but they consistently get 2 to 3 excellent hires every time they're here, and that's how they want to recruit. And we can do that. Mm-hmm. If they come on campus and they want to present to students, we can help understand what type of students they're looking for and have them present.
So, John, tell me, it sounds like you have a great portfolio of tools and resources. You're saying to me, if I understand correctly, the startup, the entrepreneur organization has just as much or a good connection with the university as someone who's a traditional blue chip company.
So the answer is yes. Mm-hmm. It means it's again, the rules still apply. I need you to show up. So we've got the Pinot Center for Global Entrepreneurship here, specifically for our startups and our entrepreneurs, and they can have those conversations. And they also have access to our office, and we can have those conversations and talk to them. Okay, well, this is what you need to do to attract students. It's, highly advisable to have the paid internship. We mm-hmm. want them to be paid. So that way you're getting the best talent and the students are having an opportunity to work and see and grow and do. But yes, the short answer is yes. But come here and talk to us. Have the conversation. Well, pick up the phone but talk to us, because we can talk you through those resources. If I get a startup and they have certain questions for me, I'm immediately getting them over to Pinot. Mm-hmm. If I have someone who expresses an interest in, hey, I want to get a degree here at FIU, I'm immediately sending them to the recruiters, because I know we've got the talent. I work with the talent, the best team in the business. Right. And I want them, we're all recruiters.
Right.
So
absolutely.
And I think the key too is, look, South Florida has a diverse talent pool, diverse communities everywhere, right? There are college, college grads and not college grads and all that. But I think having a college graduate, and we talked about this in our last episode, it's sort of, not only do you get that book knowledge, like you mentioned, but and read the 10Ks and all that stuff, but it grounds you as an individual, and it makes you more, I'm going to use the word, of a well-rounded individual and professional. So an entrepreneurship company, has eyes on that, or if you're an existing corporate culture, it's good to have that, but it helps you bring someone in that is going to do a good thing. And Sylvester Stallone had a great clip. He says, a 4-year degree proves that you're not going to go someplace and just F things up, and you're going to show up on time. And I want to use that because you talked about that, showing up. I think that's the theme of today's discussion. Show up. That's really important. If you show up, you have better opportunity than not showing up. And I'm going to just, talk about the younger generation right now. Not to put everything on them, but I see that they need to show up more. They need to be more engaged, more involved. Need to show up.
You have to be in the deal flow.
If you're not in the game, you have no chances of winning. Sure, right? You got to be in it to win it.
Sure.
So
No, I agree. I agree. But I also think it cuts both ways.
absolutely.
So I have to advocate for the students.
Yeah.
I think we can't show up and impose. We have to show up and be open.
Yes.
We have to show up and be open to understanding this new generation. We have to show up and understand what their wants and goals and needs and desires are.
Right.
And because that's how we evolve as a business, and that's how we get better market share, and that's how because we all know the history of Kodak.
Yes.
That's a great example.
Who's that?
Yeah.
Imagine one of the greatest American companies of all time.
Greatest American companies of all time.
Yeah.
And
They're no longer
it-
around. Although they repurposed their
Yes.
Polaroid, if you know.
So I, for fun, and I love this as an aside, I, for fun, will show a slide of Kodachrome, a box of Kodachrome.
Oh.
And I will ask students, what is this? And the answers I get are phenomenal. And I know a certain age can answer, and others, they're like, I don't know what that is, John.
And Kodak was the first company to have a digital camera.
Yeah.
They actually had the digital camera, and they brought it to the board and said, "No, that stuff, that's not for us because we sell film.
Yeah.
We don't want to mess up our business
film and
model."
chemicals.
And then look what happened. How things fit.
Yeah.
But that's another example of showing up, right? Because things are evolving. Everything's evolving. There is nothing 50 years ago that's the same today. And today is so much more rapid.
Well, I will challenge you there and say resumes are the same.
Yeah. Well,
You still have to have a piece of paper.
So,
You have to have your resume. You got to have something because someo's going to ask you for it. That has not changed as much as I want it to sometimes,
right.
but that has not changed.
Okay.
And maybe you'll get your picture.
Yeah, no pictures. So we learned that today. No pictures on a resume.
Please, no.
No pictures on a resume. Well, thank you so much for joining us. What else? What would you like to leave with the audience? And first, let's leave something for the college, the newly college grad who's starting their career. And then let's leave something also with someone who's a little more advanced, like myself. Let's give them, parting words of wisdom of what to do.
And
next steps.
And if you will, how do they reach out to you? What is, what's the number?
Sure.
What's the website?
Sure. So our phone number is our phone number. I'm just chuckling because I'm like, I want people to call me. I like using the phone.
Yeah.
I will talk to people on the phone. 305-348-7396. That's the right phone number.
You're dating yourself.
I know.
We'll put it down at the
I know.
bottom here so we'll have it. Don't worry.
I want you to go to our website first, bcm.fiu.edu. That's our website. You can go there and see our office hours, our location. You can reach us by email, which is cms@fiu.edu. And then our phone number is 305-348-7396. That's the best way to get in touch with our office. We're also on Instagram. We have an Instagram handle at Hire FIU Biz, B-I-Z. And I refer to our students as Biz Panthers, B-I-Z, Biz Panthers. So that's always fun. What I would want are the student populations that you've talked about. If you're an undergraduate student or if you're just coming into FIU, I want you to come see us in CBC 121. I want you to come down to our office. I want you to introduce yourself, familiarize yourself with our space, and have a conversation with your counselor. My team will help you out immediately. I think if you're a junior or a senior or a recent graduate, my wish would be don't come to us as a recent graduate and start the conversation. Get to us earlier.
Right.
Come in as a junior or a senior and have these conversations. Same for grad students.
Yeah.
The earlier you show up, the better.
Yeah.
The job search is not is rote and has a process. It just depends on where you are career-wise, what that process looks like. Am I looking for an entry-level job? Am I looking for an internship? Am I looking for an entry-level job? Am I looking for a mid-career job? Am I looking to get promoted? And it's that process. It's a rote process. It's just, okay, where am I career-wise and what do I change? How do I change where do I plug my priorities in? And so that is also a conversation that we can have. But I think it boils down to, am I asking the right questions at the right stage of my career search?
Yeah.
So that's the answer.
So the answer is get involved, reach out,
Show up.
show up, and the earlier the better.
And the earlier the better.
That's great. John,
Well,
thank you so much.
thank you, John.
We
Absolutely.
actually picked up a lot today. The key here is to show up. We know that. And I always ask myself, not why not, but why not me, right? That's really important. And start that process sooner than later, because in order to start your life, you have to begin it, right? So you got to take that first step. That's going to take you to your second step. So thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
I really appreciate it. So I'm Professor Ken.
And I'm Professor Paul Marino.
And this was the Forward Motion Business Show, and we'll see you out there.